Leave one light on for the people who come after. Leave one light on when the room has lost the crowd. The final door had closed before I crossed the lobby. Programs lay folded under seats nobody needed. A paper cup rolled once, then stopped beside the aisle. The stage held one white circle in the middle of the dark. No actors in the wings, no hands above the curtains, only ropes, black paint, and dust where shoes had turned. The velvet looked expensive until the house went quiet. Then every seam and stain came back beneath the light. Leave one light on for the people who come after. Leave one light on when the room forgets its shape. Leave one light on for the broom, the keys, the ladders. Leave one light on till the work can find its place. I push the cleaning cart past portraits in the hallway, faces from old seasons smiling through cracked glass. Someone had left flowers near the door to dressing room 2, still wrapped in clear plastic with no name on the card. The mirror bulbs were off, the powder had gone chalky. A false eyelash rested near a ring of dried red wine. I did not know the singer or the song that made them stand. I only knew the marks that all their evening left behind. One chair down, one aisle clear, one wire coiled, one room less near. No applause, no curtain call, only one light holding all. The piano lid was lowered, but one key stayed uncovered. A page had slipped beneath the bench and bent along the edge. I placed it on the music stand without reading any title. Some things look more private when the audience has gone. A heel cap near the orchestra pit, a ticket torn in half, silver thread from someone's jacket caught in splintered wood. I dropped each piece into the clear bag on the cart, small proof that for 2 hours everybody had been here. Leave one light on for the people who come after. Leave one light on when the room forgets its shape. Leave one light on for the broom, the keys, the ladders. Leave one light on till the work can find its place. Near the back row, the carpet kept a darker patch where somebody had spilled something sweet beneath their coat. I knelt with paper towels pressed down until they held it. The stain grew through the white, then faded underneath. The building made its night sounds, ventilation pipes a pulley, a loose seat rising slowly after someone's weight was gone. The stage looked farther from the aisle than it did from the door. A small white island no one needed to perform on. I crossed behind the curtain and found the work lights waiting, bare bulbs and metal cages along the painted wall. There was tape around a cable, a broom against a ladder, and my name on tonight's sheet between 2 boxes marked complete. The room does not remember who received the flowers. It keeps the dust, the heat, the shape of every chair It does not choose between the person in the spotlight and the person sweeping glitter from the stairs. Leave one light on for the people who come after. Leave one light on when the room has lost the crowd. Leave one light on for the hands that close the theater. Leave one light on till the last one makes it out. Leave one light on, not for ghosts or old performers. Leave one light on for whoever still is there. Leave one light on while the rest of us are working. Leave one light on like the room can learn to care. I tied the first bag closed and wheeled it toward the lobby. The portraits watched above me with their permanent applause. Behind me on the stage, a single bulb stayed burning, too small to fill the theater, too steady to ignore. I left the next row waiting, and the curtain hanging open. One white circle on the boards, one cart beside the wall. Leave one light on for the people who come after. The night was not beginning, but the work had started now. The carpet keeps the applause. After everybody leaves, the carpet keeps the applause, and every thread beneath my feet. I start at the back row, where the velvet turns to dust. The vacuum cable follows like a line I cannot lose. Programs folded into quarters rest beneath the seats. Names of people I never saw, printed gold across the front. A plastic cup rolls sideways when the motor reaches near. Something sweet is dried below it in a dark and shining ring. A heel cap, black and broken, waits beside seat 23. Small enough to miss completely, heavy enough to keep. The carpet keeps the applause. After everybody leaves, confetti gathers in the corners where the aisle begins to bend. Silver stars and paper circles clinging where the shoes had been. I lift them with one gloved hand, they stick along my sleeve. For 1 second I am wearing what the audience received. A cork is trapped beneath a roadie, a peanut shell in roadie. Someone tore a ticket lengthwise, then pushed both halves beneath a seat. A lipstick mark on clear plastic, a button from a coat, a receipt for 2 warm drinks with one name written wrong. The vacuum takes the paper, but refuses thicker things. So I stop and pick them out and place them in the bag. Every object interrupts the steady pull and hum. A brief mistake the room has made before the floor goes blank. The carpet keeps the applause after everybody leaves. The center aisle is darker from 1,000 pairs of shoes. 2 pale lines divide the sections where the cleaning lights fall through. The stage is empty from this angle, only curtains, ropes and black. The ghost light makes the orchestra pit look deeper than it is. I move one seat and number by number. Raise the cushions, check below them, push each metal frame back down. Some chairs close with a whisper, some return with a crack. One stays open near the middle like somebody is coming back. Underneath it lies a program covered in blue pen. 3 songs of little circles, one has best, one at the end. There is no name inside the cover, no address I can return it to. I leave it on the seat a moment, then put it with the rest. Row A clear, row B clear, paper, glass, nothing here. Row C clear, motor low, the room gives up what people do not know. Near the side door by the balcony, a red thread catches light. It runs from one brass screw to a place beneath the rail. I pull and it keeps coming, a thin line from someone's scarf, long enough to cross my fingers, too weak to tie a knot. There are crumbs along the skirting, a sweet wrapper in the grate, a paper flower flattened by the weight of several shoes. Someone wrote a phone number on the back of a receipt. The final digit has been smeared by whatever reached the floor. I do not read it twice, I do not try to guess whether anyone will call it or if anyone expects. I fold the paper inward till the ink can no longer show, then drop it with the programs and return to the row. The carpet keeps the applause after everybody leaves. The front seats hold less rubbish, but more glitter in the seams. Gold dust around the armrests and powder near the stage. A bouquet wrapper crackles when the vacuum pulls its edge. Clear plastic with a ribbon and 3 broken leaves inside. The flowers are already gone, taken home or left backstage. Only one wet patch remains where the stems had touched the carpet. I press a towel against it, watch the green come through the white, then move the ghost light shadow with my body as I rise. From here I see the whole house, every numbered chair and rose, clean enough to look untouched except for what the fibers hold. The pile leans in one direction with a crowd across the aisle. Hundreds of feet left, one soft pattern that the machine cannot erase. The carpet keeps the applause after everybody leaves. The carpet keeps the applause long after no one hears it. I switch the vacuum off and the silence arrives at once. My ears keep holding the motor like a note that will not stop. The clear bag at my side is full of proof without a story. Cups, confetti, torn up tickets, a heel cap, red glue. Waiting for a hand that went home. One red glove in the second seat of row B. I found it folded at the wrist, as if someone placed it there, not dropped beneath the cushion, not kicked into the aisle. Red leather under work lights, a darker red along the thumb, the left hand by the shape of it, with one loose thread at the seam. I held it by 2 fingers and checked beneath the seat. No ticket, name or handbag, nothing pointing to an owner. The theater had given up cups, programs, dust and ribbon, but this looked less like rubbish than a sentence missing someone. One red glove, waiting for a hand that went home. One red glove, keeping the shape it was given. Maybe she removed it laughing while the curtain started rising, held the other in her lap and forgot this one beside her. Maybe she came by herself, sat straight through every song, then left before the final bow to catch the last train home. Maybe she was waiting here for someone who never found the road, checking every face that entered till the house lights faded low. Or maybe it belonged to someone working in the balcony, a woman counting empty seats before the house went dark. Maybe she wore red gloves because the uniform was black, kept one small bright thing where nobody had asked. I tried each story quietly, then let it fall apart. The glove did not confirm them, it only kept its curve. 4 fingers leaning inward, the thumb turned toward the aisle. A hand without a body, still resting for a while. One red glove, waiting for a hand that went home. One red glove, no story fits for long. I placed it on the cleaning cart beside the folded programs, then moved it back to row B. Before I reached the aisle, lost property would label it, date, section, seat and color, a clear bag tied at the top, a month before disposal. But under the work lights it looked already labeled by the crease across the palm and powder near the cuff. Someone had closed that hand around a rail or someone else's finger. Someone had opened it again and left no answer in it. The bass clarinet from rehearsal was locked inside its case. The stage had only one white bulb, the seats had stopped returning. I lowered seat 14 but left 13 unfolded. The red glove stayed between them like a pause the room could hold. One red glove, waiting for a hand that went home. One red glove in the second seat of row B. One red glove, not mine to finish, not mine to explain. One red glove, keeping the shape it was given. I cleaned the row around it, lifted cups and torn up tickets, pulled a silver paper star from underneath the rail, then switched the work light off and watched the red turn nearly black. I did not take it with me, I did not move it again. One red glove, waiting where I found it for a hand that went home. Dressing room number 4. One bulb, then another, and the face is here no more. I found the door half open with a paper name still taped. Black marker on white card, the corners lifting from the frame. Inside the mirror waited, ringed by 12 small bulbs. I pressed the switches one by one and watched the room return. Powder on the counter, a pale cloud near the brush, 2 false lashes in a tray, one bent, one almost perfect. A glass held one red crescent, dry along the rim. The chair was turned toward the mirror, as if someone might sit in. The face is gone, but the dressing room still wears it. The face is gone, and every surface keeps a trace. The face is gone, but the dressing room still wears it. Light around an empty chair, powder where there was a face. Flowers leaned against the wall, still wrapped in clear paper. 3 roses losing color, 1 leaf caught in the ribbon. The card had only initials pressed hard into blue ink, no message I could read without unfolding what was closed. A safety pin lay open near a bottle without a lid. Hairpins formed a little row beside a stain of foundation. The sink held gray water from a cloth rinsed out too late, and 1 gold earring waited near the drain. I picked it up and turned it small enough to hide in skin. A cheap stone underwork light throwing back a warmer color. Lost property would take it if I wrote the room and date before 1 minute I left it where the person had removed it. The face is gone, but the dressing room still wears it. The face is gone, and every surface keeps a trace. The face is gone, but the dressing room still wears it. Light around an empty chair, powder where there was a face. Brush in the jar, pen on the table, lip on the glass, name on the door. Bulbs in a circle, chair facing forward, the room knows the outline and nothing more. The costume rail stood empty, except for 1 black hanger. A strip of silver thread clung where a sleeve had been. Underneath the counter, a shoebox had been left, 1 heel print in the tissue, the other side untouched. I wiped the mirror slowly, starting at the lower edge. A thumbprint near the corner moved once beneath the cloth. For a second it became a face behind my own. Then glass returned to glass and I was cleaning alone. The bulbs made every detail look important and exposed a scratch beside the socket, a crack across the paint. The glamour of the room was mostly light, arranged in circles. Turn the bulbs off 1 by 1, and it became a narrow space. The small bin, tissues folded over tissues, cotton stained with black, a label cut from someone's dress, a list written in pencil, water, throat spray, spare tights, then one line crossed out twice. Too dark to read beneath the light. On the floor beside the chair, a piece of tape marked center. Maybe where the chair should sit, maybe where the feet should rest. I placed the legs back over it and squared the mirror tray. Not because the room looked wrong, because the shift required it. The gold earring went finally into a clear lost property bag. Room 4, left side of sink, no name, one stone. Clip back, the flowers stayed beside the wall. Too alive to throw away, too far gone to give again. So I changed the water in the jar. The face is gone, but the dressing room still wears it. The face is gone, and every surface keeps a trace. The face is gone, but the dressing room still wears it. Till the bulbs go out in order, and the glass gives back my face. I switched off number 12, then 11, 10 and 9. The room grew smaller by degrees. The flowers lost their red. 8, 7, 6. The powder left the counter. 5, 4, 3. The chair became a chair. 2 bulbs held the mirror, like a doorway nearly closed. I took the paper name and left the tape across the wood. 1 bulb stayed above the glass, bright enough to find the handle. Then I turned the final switch, and dressing room number 4 stopped wearing anyone. Stand here, turn there, disappear on cue. Stand here, turn there, disappear on cue. Blue tape for the singer, red tape for the chair, white tape near the curtain where a hand should wait. Yellow square at center, 2 black marks beside it. Everybody had a place before the room went dark. The floor still holds the arrows pointing left and back. A strip beside the monitor, a cross beneath the mic. Someone measured every distance with a ruler and a shoe. Stand here, turn there, disappear on cue. Stand here, turn there, disappear on cue. Hit the light, find the mark, let the room believe in you. Blue line, red square, white cross, nothing there. 1 step, half turn, face front, weight, tape edge lifting dust along the glue. Stand here, turn there, disappear on cue. I kneel beside the center mark and press the corner down. The adhesive has gone gray from shoes and powdered floor. A heel scraped through the blue, a cable cut the red. 1 white strip is split in 2 where someone missed a step. The marks do not remember who was nervous, who was late, who forgot the second verse or smiled into the dark. They keep only coordinates, small orders underfoot. Stand here, turn there, disappear on cue. Chalk mumbles by the wings, count furniture and stands. 3 for the narrow table, 4 for the painted door. Half erased instruction says wait until the blackout. The final word is smudged by the edge of someone's shoe. I sweep around each color, never over what must stay. Dust moves into little borders where the tape resists the broom. The stage becomes a diagram for people not yet here. A map made out of pressure for a night already gone. Move the chair to red, move the mic to white. Leave the center clear, check the cable twice. No applause, no face, only tape. Keep in play. Stand here, turn there, disappear on cue. Hit the light, find the mark, let the room believe in you. Stand here, turn there, disappear on cue. The body leaves, the color stays, the floor completes the move. I pull one loose end slowly till the strip comes free. Blue curls around my fingers, carrying dust and shoe marks. The red square stays for tomorrow, the white cross stays by the mic. I leave the yellow center exactly where it was. Stand here, turn there, disappear on cue. The stage is empty, the marks are not.
Someone left the piano open to an empty room. Someone left the piano open and the room kept one note. The lid stood raised under the ghost light, black wood holding a pale line of dust. One page had slipped beneath the bench, bent at the corner, face down on the floor. I lifted it carefully without reading the title, set it on the stand where both hands could find it. The key stayed covered except for middle C, one small square of ivory, bright in the dark. A cuff button rested near the back leg, too small for the stage, too bright for the floor. I placed it on the bench beside the folded page, then listened to the building breathe behind the wall. Someone left the piano open to an empty room. Someone left the piano open and nobody came back. There was a glass ring near the lower edge, a pencil worn flat beside the pedal. The soft pedal moved when the floor gave once, then settled back under its own weight. I pressed one key, not enough for music, only enough to hear the felt move. The note crossed the stage, touched the empty seats, and returned thinner from the balcony. No one applauded, nothing needed finishing. The sound had somewhere to go, even with no one there. Someone left the piano open to an empty room. One note went out, one note came back. I polished black side, powder from the stage laid close to the bench. A strip of tape marked where the front leg should stand. The piano was still placed for a song already gone. I found one broken lead inside the music tray, and a word in the margin cut off at the fold. Not a sentence, not a message, only hold, written once in blue. I left the page open at the place it had fallen, not because it mattered, because closing it felt wrong. Someone left the piano open to an empty room. Someone left the piano open, and the room kept one note. No answer, no encore, no hand returning. Only black wood, one page, and the ghost light burning. I lowered the bench, but not the lid. Turned off the work light near the wings. The piano remained a dark shape on the stage, open to the room, open to no one. The cuff button stayed beside the folded page. The pencil stayed flat near the pedal. Nothing moved when I crossed to the door. Someone left the piano open. I left it that way. There is no encore for the woman with the broom. There is no encore when the room has emptied out. I came in through the side door while the crowd was still departing. Coats pressed through the lobby, perfume, rain, and paper cups. Someone held the outer door without looking at my face. I pushed the cleaning cart inside and waited for the noise to pass. The stage was black behind the curtain, except for one pale work light. Tape marks crossed the floorboards where the bodies had been placed. A bouquet had lost 3 petals near the edge of stage right. I swept them toward the dustpan with confetti and a thread. There is no encore for the woman with the broom. No one rises from their seat when she steps into the room. There is no encore, no second bow, no name, only wood beneath the bristles, and the floor returned again. The first row still held warmth in the velvet of the chairs. A program rested open on a photograph I did not know. The headline called it unforgettable. The review would come tomorrow. I folded down the page and placed it with the lost things. A black sequin near the footlight stuck itself against my glove. One small mirror catching light after all the lights were gone. I turned it in my fingers, then dropped it in the bag. The room had finished shining, but the pieces had not learned. Behind me someone tested a pulley over the stage. The rope complained once softly, then settled in the dark. I moved the broom in long lines from the center to the wings. Each pass erased a little of the shape the evening made. A row of blueprints crossed the boards from center mark to backstage. One print carried silver dust, another held a grain of sand. I followed them with short strokes,
for blue, then crossed behind with an arrow pointing back. Someone had depended on that sentence for a moment in the show. Now we're curled beside the cable where no one needed to know. I knew which marks could stay and which had to be removed, which flowers went to dressing rooms, which glasses went downstairs. I knew the light beside the staircase took 3 seconds to come on, and the left wheel on the cart would pull toward the wall. That knowledge had no spotlight, but it kept the building moving. Every lock, every bin, every door that swelled in rain. By the time the audience returned, none of it should show. The work was meant to disappear before the next night came. Sweep left, step back, lift the cable, mind the crack, bag full, stage clear, no one claps. The work is here. Near the orchestra pit, a paper flower had gone flat, gold around the edges, white. Where someone stepped, I almost left it there, because it looked deliberate, like part of some last image the director meant to keep. Then I bent and picked it up and saw the dirt beneath, a little crescent in the dust, protected by the paper. I swept that too and watched both shapes disappear. The flower into plastic, the clean patch into floor. No sorrow in the gesture, no lesson I could use. Only one more object where an object should not be. I did not need to hate the actors or wish the crowd had known me. I had keys around my waist and 4 more rooms to clean. There is no encore for the woman with the broom. No one rises from their seat when she steps into the room. There is no encore, no second bow, no name, only wood beneath the bristles, and the floor returned again. There is no encore, and she does not wait for one. The ghost light makes one circle. The rest of the stage is done. There is no encore, only work beneath the light. One hand closes around the handle, and the broom moves left to right. I left the front curtain open so the stage could face the seats. The house looked smaller from the boards than it had from underneath. One glove and Ruby waited. The piano lit, stayed raised. The mirror bulbs in room 4 had all gone dark again. I tied the final back and wrote the number on the label. Set the broom beside the wings where the painted wall was chipped. The building did not thank me, the room did not pretend. It only held the quiet, and the floor was clear again. There is no encore for the woman with the broom. She turns the work light off and leaves the ghost light in the room. We only know each other under the loading dock light. We only know each other for 5 minutes at a time. At 4:12 the side door clicked shut behind us. A metal cage held folded chairs. 2 crates waited by the wall. The theater breathed through vents above the roller door. You leaned against the railing with a light
stood beside the yellow line where deliveries should stop. Neither of us said hello. We had already worked too long. You lit one cigarette, then passed the flame across. We only know each other under the loading dock light. You smoke my tired hands, the building at our backs. We only know each other under the loading dock light. 5 minutes between tasks, and back inside. You said the flybar jammed again halfway through the second act. I said the left wheel on my cart still pulled toward the wall. You said the singer missed her mark, but found it before blackout. I said Rosie had left more paper than the rest. Small facts traded quietly because they did not ask for much. No names from home, no reasons we were tired. The cigarette burned uneven in the draft below the sign. Ash fell beside a tire mark and broke along the line. One match, one wall, one smoke, no call. 5 minutes, no advice. Loading dock light, cold and white. A truck reversed somewhere beyond the locked back gate. 3 warning tones repeated, then disappeared down the street. You checked the time on the watch beneath your sleeve. I watched the ember brighten each time you tried to breathe. You offered me the cigarette. I shook my head and smiled. Not judgment, not refusal, only no desire tonight. You held it farther from my coat so the ash would miss the wool. A small unnecessary kindness neither of us named. You nearly finished. 2 rooms and the front stairs. You, cables and the trapdoor. You going straight home? Probably. Me too. We only know each other under the loading dock light. You smoke my tired hands, the building at our backs. We only know each other under the loading dock light. 5 minutes between tasks, then back inside. The door behind us rattled when the ventilation changed. A strip of red tape fluttered from the corner of a crate. Someone had written fragile across the cardboard twice. The letters looked dramatic for a box of plastic cups. You rubbed a black mark from the side of your thumb, grease from one of the pulleys, or paint from stage left. I had powder on my sleeve from dressing room number 4. We stood there carrying traces of rooms already cleared. No friendship needed naming, no promise past the shift. Just knowing someone else had heard the same old building click. The same pipes, same doors, the same delayed fluorescent light. The same 5 minutes outside before the last jobs of the night. At 4:17 you pressed the cigarette against the rail, turned the ember into orange dust, then folded it away. No ashtray by the loading dock, only one dented metal tin. You dropped the filter into it and checked the latch again. The pause ended without warning, because pauses usually do. No final line, no deeper truth, no reason to delay. You
white, not enough to call it friendship. More than passing in the night, we only know each other under the loading dark light. And that was enough for 412. You turned toward the fly system, I turned toward the stairs. The hallway split our footsteps before either one looked back. The metal tin stayed by the rail, the yellow line stayed bright. Later, when the dock was empty, the light kept buzzing overhead. No smoke, no tired voices, only cold along the edge. We only knew each other under the loading dock light. 5 minutes between tasks, then back inside.
House lights turn the magic back into work. House lights turn the magic back into work. Switch 1, front row, red velvet darkened spots. Switch 2, balcony rail, dust in the carving, paint worn pale. Switch 3, a silver thread caught beneath seat 28. The room appears piece by piece, not ruined, just revealed. House lights turn the magic back into work. Velvet becomes fabric, gold becomes dirt. House lights turn the magic back into work. Nothing disappears, it only changes under light. I stand beside the panel with the keys against my hip. Each switch wakes another section with a click inside the wall. The first row loses mystery, the stage loses its depth. The black curtain shows a tear near the lower left-hand edge. A stain beside the aisle looks larger under white. The brass plate on seat 12 is hanging by one screw. A program under row F shines where the paper bends. The flowers near the footlights have dropped another head. House right, scuffed wall, cable loop too close to the stair. Upper box peeling paint, 1 dead bulb, 3 still burning, balcony dust line, fingerprints along the rail. No illusion, no disguise, only objects under light. House lights turn the magic back into work. Velvet becomes fabric, gold becomes dirt. House lights turn the magic back into work. Nothing disappears, it only changes under light. The numbered seats look smaller when the whole room can be seen. Rows that seem to reach forever end against a service door. The ceiling stars are painted, some have chipped around the edge. 1 wire shows above the cornice where the plaster pulled away. I walk the center aisle and make a list against my sleeve. Loose armrest, row C, wet patch, row G. Balcony lamp flickering, exit sign half dim. A flower stem by stage left, 1 glove still in row B. The room is not embarrassed by the marks the dark concealed. It waits beneath the brightness for somebody to begin. A ladder for the dead bulb, a cloth for every rail, a note beside the damaged seat, a bag for what should leave. Light 1 section, see 1 task. Light another, see the past. Not as memory, not as pain, only work made plain again. I lift the final switch and the ceiling comes alive. The ghost light nearly vanishes inside the larger whited circle, still remains, but
no longer owns the stage. Just one bulb among the others with a cable at its base. From here the theater looks like timber, cloth and wire, a room built by many hands to become something else at night. The seams, the screws, the dust, the chip paint near the door, all the things the dark forgave, the house lights ask us to restore. House lights turn the magic back into work. Velvet becomes fabric, gold becomes dirt. House lights turn the magic back into work. Nothing disappears, it only changes under light. House lights turn the magic back into work. The stage becomes a platform, the throne becomes a chair. House lights turn the magic back into work, and every hidden mark finds somebody standing there. I leave the switches on and carry the ladder down. The theater has no mystery while I tighten a loose screw. The program goes into the bag. The flower stem follows after. The white light stays above me, hard, complete and useful later. Someone will dim it, and the room will deepen again. Velvet will become a curtain, wood will become a world. For now the house lights hold every stain, every repair. House lights turn the magic back into work, and I begin. Leave the ghost light burning when the room forgets our names. Leave the ghost light burning when the last door closes. The house lights are gone now. Every row has lost its color. Velvet folded into darkness, gold reduced to quiet lines. The ladder rests beside the aisle. One glove waits in row B. Across the stage, slowly past the tape that still marks center. Blue, red, white and yellow, small instructions underfoot. The curtain hangs without a scene. One white circle keeps the boards from disappearing. Leave the ghost light burning when the room forgets our names. Leave the ghost light burning for the hands that leave no trace. Leave the ghost light burning after every lock is turned. One light for the empty stage, one light left to burn. Dressing room number 4 is dark behind its paper label. The flowers have fresh water, but no one will see them now. A gold earring sleeps in plastic. Powder has left the mirror. The chair is square again, the loading dock is empty. The metal tin beside the rail holds one crushed cigarette and ash along the bottom. No voices under fluorescent light. I press each handle once. The side door needs a lift to catch. The front stair light responds late. The building keeps its habits when nobody is watching. Door locked, panel dark, curtain still. One mark, keys turn, footsteps fade, one light stays. inside the wings, where the painted wall is chipped, my broom rests in the corner, handle shining where I held it. The worksheet in my pocket has every box completed, row by row and room by room, the night reduced to ticks. I do not sign the program, I do not leave a flower, no picture in the lobby will prove that I was here. But the floor no longer carries mud from 100 shoes. The aisle is clear again, the work disappears correctly. That is how the building opens. Tomorrow someone will step on every colored mark, raise both hands and wait for darkness to applaud. Leave the ghost light burning when the room forgets our names. Leave the ghost light burning for the hands that leave no trace. Leave the ghost light burning after every lock is turned. One light for the empty stage, one light left to burn. At the side door I stop, with one hand around the handle. The stage is small from here, a pale island beyond curtains. Dust moves once inside the beam, then settles on the boards. Nothing enters from the dark, nothing needs to. I could switch it off. The button sits beside the panel. One press would give the theater back completely to itself. But this light is not for ghosts or actors missing from the call sheet. It is for whoever crosses after everyone has gone. The technician checking cables, the cleaner finding broken glass, the hand that moves a ladder, the guard who tests the doors, people absent from the posters, still keeping rooms prepared. Leave the ghost light burning when the room forgets our names. Leave the ghost light burning when the faces leave the frames. Leave the ghost light burning, not as memory or praise, only one dependable circle in the middle of the stage. Leave the ghost light burn. I have finished what I came for. Leave the ghost light burn. I do not need to see it end. The door closes at my shoulder, the lock turns once behind me, and the light remains inside without an audience. The lobby gives back my footsteps. The portraits keep their smiles. Outside, the theater sign is dark. The street moves past. I put the keys into my pocket and pull the side door once. No morning enters the story. No curtain rises again. Behind brick, wood and velvet, one glove waits in row B. I cross the stage slowly, past the tape that still marks center. Blue, red, white and yellow, small instructions underfoot. The curtain hangs without a scene. One white circle keeps the boards from disappearing. Leave the ghost light burning when the room forgets our names. Leave the ghost light burning for the hands that leave no trace. Leave the ghost light.
Every light left on belongs to someone. Every light left on belongs to someone. 7 windows burning past 3, and one of them belongs to me. Across the courtyard, 4th floor right, a desk lamp makes a yellow square. Someone leans toward 2 bright screens with headphones pressed into her hair. She lifts a mug, finds nothing there, puts it down beside the keys, then turns her microphone back on and speaks to someone overseas. 2 floors below, a kitchen glows, a bottle warmer stains the wall. A shadow walks from chair to sink, then walks the same short line again. A baby starts, then loses breath. The hand keeps moving through the room. The microwave says 3:16 in numbers, orange as a wound. Every light left on belongs to someone. Every light left on belongs to someone. 7 windows burning past 3, and one of them belongs to me. In 5A, 2 shadows share 1 kitchen and 1 hanging bulb. A glass stays full beside the tap. A chair is pulled too far from home. 1 body faces toward the stove, the other watches from the hall. Neither moves enough to leave, neither turns enough to talk. On the 9th floor, near the stairs, a shirt hangs blue above a board. Steam touches the window once, then fades before it finds a word. An iron travel sleeve to cuff, a button waits beside the thread. Someone smooths tomorrow flat, because tonight will not go to bed. Lights still on, floor by floor, small lives behind the locked front door. Lights still on, thin and warm, nobody knows who made it through the storm. One window is aquarium blue, the only color in the block. A person sits down on the floor with both knees drawn beneath the cloth. Fish move slowly through their face, the filter bubbles soft and low. The phone is lying out of reach. The room looks deep enough to drown. Near the roof, a fridge light opens, then closes, opens once again. Someone eats above the sink, still wearing work across their skin. A metal fork hits ceramic, a shoe lies sideways near the mat. No table set, no overhead, just 5 small minutes standing back. Every light left on belongs to someone. Every light left on belongs to someone. 7 windows burning past 3, and one of them belongs to me. The elevator climbs to 8, red numbers floating in the glass. It stops at 6, the doors pull wide, then shut on no one coming past. A grocery bag appears at last, a coat, a hand, a tired key. The hallway swallows all of it, then gives 1 ceiling light to me. I start inventing names for them,
Maybe none of them are lonely. Maybe I keep getting it wrong. Maybe one is finishing a movie. Maybe one is writing a song. Maybe two shadows in a kitchen are laughing where I cannot hear. Distance makes a wound look simple. Glass makes every life look clear. I only see the movements, not the reasons in the room. A curtain lifting at the corner, a hand turning off a screen, a figure bending for a charger, a kettle held beneath the tap. I turn strangers into stories so my own night can look mad. One light out, then another. Fourth floor dark, fifth floor covered, aquarium blue. Still awake, one small square the dawn won't take. At 4:28, the headset room goes black except the monitor. The chair rolls backward out of sight. A hand returns to close the door. The bottle warmer loses orange. The baby room becomes a shade. The kitchen with the two still figures keeps one light above the plate. A curtain opens near the roof. A face appears, then turns away. For half a second I am certain someone looks across this way. I step back from my own window, like I have crossed a private line, and see my lamp behind my head, reflected in the courtyard glass. Every light left on belongs to someone. Every light left on belongs to someone. I counted all the lives I couldn't see. 7B, blue screens, mute light on, coffee gone. She talks to strangers till the world comes back. At 3:07 the headset clicks and pulls the room around her ears. Two monitors paint her glasses with a weather made of numbers. A badge hangs from the chair, though nobody is coming in. Her name is printed on the plastic, like a person she clocks in. The call arrives from somewhere warm, a hotel lobby, maybe Spain. A man says something will not open and repeats his booking name. She says, "Let me check that for you," in the voice she keeps for work, then presses mute and closes both eyes while the loading circle turns. She talks to strangers till the world comes back, keeps her own voice folded under the desk. She talks to strangers till the world comes back, one calm answer at a time. A spreadsheet fills the second screen with rows too narrow for a life. Green for solved, red for waiting, amber for call back tonight. She knows which box to tick when somebody starts to shout. Knows how long to let them finish before the silence wears them out. The empty mug says Monday, though Thursday ended hours ago. A spoon is stuck beside the keyboard in a ring of instant coffee. She peels the corner from a snack bar, but forgets to take a bite. Then smiles because the next caller can somehow hear a frown through wire. She talks to strangers till the world comes back, till buses start and kitchens fill. She talks to strangers till the world comes back, and nobody asks how she is. At 3:34 a woman whispers from car to stop her flight is boarding. Her child is crying near the door. The worker in 7B straightens without knowing why. Finds a number, calls a supervisor, keeps the woman on the line. For 6 minutes they are connected by a problem neither made. One under fluorescent boarding signs, one under monitor haze. Then the payment clears, the woman laughs, a short relieves, then broken sound. The call ends with "you saved us," and the room becomes a room again. She talks to strangers till the world comes back, keeps her own voice folded under the desk. She talks to strangers till the world comes back, one calm answer at a time. Between the calls she checks the courtyard, not the phone beside her hand. 7 windows still are burning in the building opposite. One is aquarium blue, one has steam against the glass. One goes dark while she is watching, like a thought that chose to pass. Her status changes to battle before she wants it to. The headset gives a small soft tone, and another voice comes through. This one wants a refund for flowers sent a week too late. She apologizes for the company as if she chose the date. She has learned to say "I understand" without promising she does. Learn to lower every sentence when a caller raises theirs. Learn that strangers tell the truth to whoever cannot leave. A password reset, a missing charge, then suddenly a funeral. Some callers need an answer, some only need a wall, something patient on the other end that will not hang up first. She writes no notes about the crying, only issue resolved at source. Then clears the field, resets her breathing, and returns to the queue. Mute on, head down. One deep breath, no sound. Mute off, name first. How can I help? Back to work. At 4:22 the office chat lights up with one green dot. A coworker in another city types, "You still awake or what?" She sends a picture of the empty mug. He sends a broken moon. They do not say they are exhausted. There is another call too soon. Her left lens catches tiny letters. Her right eye watches dawn begin. The room behind her stays unlit, so the screens can keep her in. A delivery truck backs below with 3 clean warning beeps. She hears the earliest elevator carry someone toward their sleep. She talks to strangers till the world comes back, till windows pale and kettles start. She talks to strangers till the world comes back with borrowed voice and a tired heart. She talks to strangers till the world comes back, give problem given shape. She talks to strangers till the world comes back, then takes the headset off too late. At 5:01 the queue goes quiet for 11 seconds straight. She removes one ear from the headset and listens to the building wake. A pipe knocks somewhere above her. A cupboard closes down the hall. The ordinary world returns without requiring her at all. The next call lights the screen. She puts the earpiece back in place. Says her name, says, "How can I help?" with daylight touching half her face. Across the courtyard, one last
At 3:16, the bottle warmer paints the kitchen cabinet gold. One sock lies beside the sofa. One small foot has kicked it loose. The television stays black, so the room can keep its hush. A folded diaper waits open by a packet of cold wipes. She walks the same 6 steps, from the counter to the chair, back again before the crying can become too much to bear. The microwave clock keeps glowing like the hour needs to be known, and the whole block sleeps around her while she warms one bottle alone. The bottle warms while the whole block sleeps. Little orange light, little promise to keep. The bottle warms while the whole block sleeps, and she walks the floor so the night stays deep. The baby settles on her shoulder with one fist beneath its chin. A warm breath marks her t-shirt where the milk has dried again. She checks the bottle on her wrist, the way the nurse showed her before. Too warm, then almost ready. Then 1 minute at the door, there is laundry in a basket that has waited since Tuesday. 3 clean shirts, 2 tiny blankets, and a towel gone hard with age. A glass of water on the windowsill has dust along the rim. She reaches for it with one hand, then the baby moves again. The bottle warms while the whole block sleeps. Little orange light, little promise to keep. The bottle warms while the whole block sleeps, and she walks the floor so the night stays deep. Across the courtyard, 7B still shines a cold computer blue. Someone lifts a headset from her ear, then disappears from view. One kitchen holds 2 shadows. One room glows beneath the sea. She never learned their names, but knows they are awake with her. The warmer clicks itself off with a sound too small to trust. She pours the milk, screws on the top, and tests the plastic twice. The baby takes the bottle slowly, eyes half open, fingers spread. For a while the only movement is the little working jaw. She leans against the counter because sitting feels too far. The refrigerator hums beside her like an old impatient car. A magnet shaped like Brighton holds a card from last July. A chemist receipt is folded under one chipped alphabet tile. The picture shows them laughing before either learned this night, before bottles cooled on counters, before dawn became a shift. Nobody warned her quiet could be heavier than noise, that love could look like pacing with no answer and no choice. The tenderness at 3 a.m. would smell like milk and steam, and every ordinary object would be sharper without sleep. She does not call it beautiful,
She does not call it grace. She only shifts the baby's weight and wipes the bottle's base. Some nights are not a lesson, some hours do not transform. They are simply bodies waiting for another body to get warm. At 3:41 the crying stops, but she keeps walking anyway. The body learns the pattern long before the mind can change. 6 steps toward the window, 6 steps back beside the chair. Her heel avoids the floorboard that complains beneath the rug. A message waits unopened from someone asking how she is. She can already see the answer she would type but not believe. So she leaves the phone face down beside the little knitted hat and counts the baby's breathing with her palm against its back. The bottle empties slowly. The orange light is gone outside. A taxi crosses once, then the courtyard settles down. She burps the baby gently with the towel on her shoulder. One tiny sound comes out and somehow makes the room feel older. The bottle warms while the whole block sleeps. Little orange light, little promise to keep. The bottle warms while the whole block sleeps, and she walks the floor so the night stays deep. The bottle warms while the whole block sleeps. No witness at the window, no promise to keep. The bottle cools while the whole block sleeps, and she holds one small body through the deepest part of 3. At 4:02 she lowers slowly into the chair beside the wall. The baby stays asleep this time, with one hand barely closed. She does not risk the bedroom, does not move the blanket yet, just lets the kitchen hold them in the light the warmer left. Across the courtyard, one lamp dies. 2 shadows run. No one says goodnight. One glass full beside the sink, one chair pulled out too wide. Two shadows, one kitchen. No one says goodnight. 2 shadows, one kitchen. Under one exhausted light. No slammed door, no final word. 2 shadows, one kitchen. No one says goodnight. At 3:28 the kettle clicks, though neither asked for tea. Steam climbs past the cupboard doors and disappears cleanly. She stands beside the counter with both hands flat on stone. He watches from the hallway like the room is not his own. A spoon lies in the saucer. The tap releases one clear drop, then gathers one more to hold. Her phone is face down near the fruit. His keys are by the chair. Every object in the kitchen has chosen where to stare. He says, I didn't mean it, but the sentence comes out thin. She turns the burner off, though nothing had been cooking. The refrigerator starts with its low mechanical throat. And for a few long seconds, it is the only thing that speaks. The overhead bulb is too white. It finds the tired in their skin. Her dinner shirt has one cuff folded in. His coat hangs from the doorway, one sleeve touching the floor. They both look toward the clock as if the hour can choose the door. Two shadows, one kitchen. No one says goodnight. Two shadows, one kitchen. Under one exhausted light. No slam door, no final word. Two shadows, one kitchen. No one says goodnight. Across the courtyard, 7B keeps glowing monitor blue. A parent walks a baby past a warmer coming through. Someone irons a shirt upstairs. Someone opens up a fridge. The whole building keeps moving while these two refuse the bridge. She lifts the glass beside the sink, then sets it down untouched. He moves the chair back half an inch, as if that matters much. The tap gives one more drop. The kettle cools without a sound. A taxi crosses through the glass and leaves red light around. Maybe there was one exact second when the argument could bend. The word before the sharper word, a hand before the end. But people rarely hear the hinge while standing in the frame. They only feel the door grow heavy and call the waiter name. She remembers what he said, he remembers how she looked. Neither remembers what began it, only where the silence took. The kitchen is too small for all the versions they defend. So the shadows reach the ceiling while the bodies do not move. One step forward, one step back. Cup still empty, window black. One breath held, one breath lost. Kitchen light, counting cost. He finally enters fully, but stays close beside the wall. She moves enough to let him pass, not enough to call it soft. He fills the kettle again because his hands require a task. Water strikes the metal base with more honesty than either has. She opens up the drawer, takes a tea bag, then another. Places one beside his cup without looking at her lover. It is not forgiveness, it is not surrendering. Just a square of folded paper and one ordinary string. He sees it on the counter and the whole room changes size. Not warmer, not repaired, just less impossible to occupy. He turns the kettle on, the little switch becomes a light. And for the first time since midnight, they both watch the same thing. Two shadows, one kitchen. No one says goodnight. Two shadows, one kitchen. Under one exhausted light. No slam door, no final word. Two shadows, one kitchen. No one says goodnight. At 4:03 the water boils. He pours without being asked. One mug has chipped blue flowers. One says, world's best dad. She almost smiles at that, then stops before it shows. He puts the sugar closer because he still remembers how they sit on different sides of the same wooden table. The chair that waited crooked now becomes a little stable. No one says, I'm sorry, no one says, we'll be okay. They drink until the cups go warm and let the dark lose shape. The courtyard pales behind them. 7B goes briefly black. The bottle warmer turns off. The elevator carries someone back. Their reflections in the window sit together, bodies apart. Two shadows made less enormous by the first bus starting up. Two shadows, one kitchen. No one says goodnight. Two shadows, one kitchen, but the room survives the night. No clean ending, no grand promise, no sudden wrong made right. Two shadows, one kitchen, still sharing one small light. Noodles over the sink, uniform still on. Fork against the bowl, fridge humming like a song. At 3:52 the kettle spits against a chipped white mug, a pack of tears uneven, and the seasoning falls in clumps. He keeps his work shirt buttoned, name patch bending at the seam. One shoe is wet from pavement, one heel has rubbed the skin. The kitchen light stays off, only the hood bulb burns, a yellow circle over steel where the instant noodles turn. He leans above the basin because the table holds the mail, a council letter, takeaway menus, and a battery that failed. I eat tomorrow's hunger over the sink, standing in the dark before I get to think. I eat tomorrow's hunger over the sink. 5 hot minutes, then the whole night blinks. The fork hits ceramic with a small impatient ring. He blows across the surface, but the steam keeps everything. His sleeves smell like warehouse dust, cold air, and forklift rain. There is grease along one cuff and cardboard in the grain. The refrigerator opens, blue light across his face, half a lemon, old hot sauce, a carton nearly gone. He looks for something better, then closes it again. The motor starts behind him like a tired second friend. Noodles over the sink, no chair, no plate. Noodles over the sink, too hungry to wait. One hand on the bowl, one eye on the clock. The building sleeps above him, but the fridge does not. Across the courtyard, aquarium blue still trembles through the glass. 7B has lost one monitor, the other one holds fast. A kitchen on the 5th floor keeps 2 shadows at a table. He does not know their story, but he watches when he is able. He twirls the noodles badly, they slap against his chin. A drop of broth lands on a patch where his first name has been stitched. He wipes it with his wrist, then laughs without much sound, the kind of laugh a person makes when no one else is around. There were days he used to sit down, take the uniform off first, put rice inside a real bowl, call someone before he ate. Now the shift ends after midnight, the bus takes 40 minutes, and hunger becomes practical when sleep is waiting near it. He is not sad in a grand way, he is not ruined by the scene. He is simply eating noodles where the dish soap should have been. The sink gives back the hood light, the glass gives back his shape. A man arriving after life has put the chairs away bowl tilt, one more bite, salt and heat. Fridge hum, pipes knock, 3:59, kitchen clock. A message lights his phone from a number saved as Mom. You working late again, sent 2 hours before. He reads it while he chews, then types just got in, all good. Deletes the comma, sends it before the sentence grows. Another bubble follows, eats something proper, please. He looks into the bowl at pale curls and chili seeds. Takes a picture as a joke, then decides not to send some evidence. Looks lonelier when framed from either end. The steam has almost vanished, the noodles start to stick. He adds cold tap water, though it ruins what is left. I eat tomorrow's hunger over the sink, standing in the dark before I get to think. I eat tomorrow's hunger over the sink. 5 hot minutes, then the whole night blinks. At 4:11 he finishes and drinks the broth too fast. The salt catches in his throat like a word that came out last. He rinses out the bowl but leaves the fork beside the tap. There are limits to the cleaning a person owes before collapse. He removes the work shirt in the hallway by the chair. The shoulders keep their shape for 1 second without him there. His wet shoes stays by the mat, his socks mark up the floor. The hood light keeps the kitchen like a shop that will not close. I eat tomorrow's hunger over the sink. No table set, no room to overthink. I eat tomorrow's hunger over the sink. The night shift leaves before the morning drinks. I eat tomorrow's hunger over the sink. 1 cheap bowl, 1 metal fork, 1 missing link. I eat tomorrow's hunger over the sink, then turn the little yellow light off with my wrist. The fridge keeps running, the pipes move upstairs. A baby gives 1 short cry, then settles somewhere. The monitor in 7B finally changes into black. The 2 shadows leave the kitchen, and 1 chair is pushed back. He carries a work shirt past the mirror in the hall. Does not stop to study what the night has made it all. The empty bowl dries slowly with 1 noodle near the rim. By morning it will look like nobody stood above the sink. Noodles over the sink, uniform on a chair. A small meal after midnight that no one knew was there. The courtyard starts to pale, the hood bulb turns off clean, and tomorrow's hunger waits where tonight has already been. Elevator at 3:43, red numbers over steel. 1 soft chime, the doors slide wide, and no one asks how late feels. At 3:43 the elevator waits with both doors open. A woman steps in backwards with a grocery bag against her coat. Her uniform is folded under 1 arm, still warm. A key is ready in her fingers before the ride has even started. The mirror behind the buttons has a cloud across 1 side. She sees half her tired face and lets the other half decide. The lobby light is too clean for the hour in her bones. She presses 8, the doors close, and the building takes her home. The elevator knows who comes home late, knows the shoes, the keys, the weight. The elevator knows who comes home late, carries every tired body to to its gate. The number 1 turns red, then 2, then 3, then 4. A paper bag shifts softly when the cables pull the floor. Inside it, milk, 2 apples, bread reduced after 10. A packet of painkillers and coffee for the morning shift again. At 6 the elevator stops, though nobody pressed the light. The doors reveal a corridor with 1 bicycle chain tight. A television laughs somewhere, a baby cries behind a wall. She waits for someone to enter, but no one comes at all. Going up floor by floor, someone leaves, someone comes home. Going up, red numbers glow. The elevator knows, the elevator knows. The doors close with a shudder, and the mirror gives her back a strand of hair stuck to her cheek. A name badge in the bag, she takes it out and reads it like the letters might be wrong, then hides it under bread where work cannot come along. Her phone lights in her pocket, the message from the morning. Can you cover half of Friday? No hello and no warning. She does not open it, but the preview stays bright between the emergency button and the rules for fire at night. There are people who come home when everyone else leaves, people carrying the city in the folds of their sleeves. Cleaners, carers, kitchen hands, night guards, counting gates, the ones the building hears at impossible little dates. The elevator knows, their silence knows which floor they choose, knows the bag with discounted bread, knows the blister in the shoe. It never asks what happened, never says they look destroyed. It only takes the weight and fills the shaft with noise. 7, pause, door shake, false stop. 7, again, metal breath, and 10. The lift goes past her floor for half a second, maybe more. The 8 stays dark beneath the 9, and she grips the grocery cord. Then the cabin corrects itself with a small embarrassed drop. The apples hit each other, and the ceiling light blinks once. She laughs before she means to, but dry surprise, little sound. The first thing all night that was not part of work somehow. The elevator hums below it, like it almost laughed as well. An 8 appears in red, and the doors begin to swell. The elevator knows who comes home late, knows the shoes, the keys, the weight. The elevator knows who comes home late, carries every tired body to its gate. Her hallway smells like onions, laundry powder, old heater plant sits near the fire door with dry soil at its feet. She steps out, then turns around because the bag feels wrong. The painkillers have fallen near the rail they rode upon. She reaches down to take them before the doors can close. The sensor catches her wrist, and the metal mouth reopens. For 1 second she stands there, half inside and half at home.
I'm ironing tomorrow because tonight won't end. Blue shirt under one bad lamp, steam against the window, 4 hours till the alarm again. At 3:50 the ironing board stands open through the living room, one leg shorter than the other, so it rocks against the floor. A blue work shirt lies flat with one button hanging loose. She presses down the collar like the morning needs the proof. The iron gives a little breath, then drags across the sleeve. A white line of steam appears and vanishes before she sees. The radio is off tonight, the building makes enough. Pipes inside the wall, a lift below, a cupboard closing up. I'm ironing tomorrow because tonight won't end. Smoothing every wrinkle I can reach. I'm ironing tomorrow because tonight won't end, making morning look less tired than me. The shirt belongs to 8 o'clock, to a bus that leaves at 7, to a desk beneath the ceiling where the lights stay on forever. There is a stain near the pocket from a lunch she ate too fast. She works the fabric twice, but the mark remembers what has passed. A spool of blue thread waits beside a needle in a dish. The loose button turns slowly when the ironing board is hit. She knows she should repair it, knows she should sleep instead, but useful little problems are easier than the ones inside her head. Steam on glass, sleeve laid straight, alarm at 6, no room to wait. Steam on glass, night wears thin, press tomorrow, flat again. Across the courtyard, 7B has lost its second screen. The kitchen with 2 shadows now holds 2 cups of tea. A bottle warmer has gone dark, the aquarium stays blue. Someone eats above a sink in a uniform half through. She never watches long, just catches pieces while she turns the shirt from front to back and checks the place the fabric burns. Every window seems to carry a task too small for day, work that only happens when the rest have gone away. I'm ironing tomorrow because tonight won't end. Smoothing every wrinkle I can reach. I'm ironing tomorrow because tonight won't end, making morning look less tired than me. She lifts the iron upright and the red light clicks off. For a moment all the room has is the fridge and distant traffic. Her phone lies near the sofa with an alarm already set. 6:15, 6:20, and one at 6:28. A message from her sister says, "You still awake?" She types, "No, I'm asleep," then deletes the stupid joke, writes, "Just finishing something," adds a heart, then takes it back. The screen goes dark before she decides which version sounds less cracked. There are people who prepare for morning like a celebration. Shoes beside the doorway, coffee measured out in cups. She prepares like someone hiding evidence of the night. A pressed shirt, packed lunch, hair tied by the light. If the collar sits correctly, if the button holds one day, if the sleeves look clean and even, no one has to know she stayed awake until the buses started practicing below. No one has to know tomorrow was assembled very slow. Iron down, steam rise, blue cloth, tight eyes, button loose, needle bright. 5 more hours till daylight. At 4:21 she threads the needle on the second try, pushes through the buttonhole and pulls the blue thread tight. The knot comes out too large, so she cuts and
starts again. Small mistakes look enormous at the quiet end of night. The shirt hangs from a cupboard door. When she finishes the cuff, it looks ready for a person who has rested well enough. She stands back in her t-shirt with one sock and one bare foot, and sees tomorrow waiting in the shape she has just put. I'm ironing tomorrow because tonight won't end. Blue shirt waiting by the door. I'm ironing tomorrow because tonight won't end. So morning asks a little less of me. I'm ironing tomorrow because tonight won't end. Steam fading from the glass. I cannot smooth the hours, but I can make the color last. She folds the ironing board and leans it by the wall. The short leg clicks once, then the room goes still. The iron cools beside the socket with its cord across the rug. A small dark mark on the sole blade from a fabric held too long. At 4:36 she fills a glass and drinks above the sink. The shirt turns gently on its hanger when the heating starts again. Across the courtyard one more window changes from blue to black. Her own reflection takes its place with the pressed shirt at her back. The alarm remains at 6:15. There is no bargain left to make. She carries the shirt to the hallway where tomorrow starts to wait. No grand relief arrives, no reason for the night to mend. Only one blue shirt, less tired than me, because tonight would not end. At 4:50, the ironing board stands open through the living room. One leg shorter than the other, so it rocks against the floor. A blue work shirt lies flat, with one button hanging loose. She presses down the collar like the morning needs the proof. The iron gives a little breath. The aquarium makes one room look underwater. Blue moving over walls. The aquarium makes one room look underwater. And someone sits beneath it all. At 4:06, the courtyard dark has one window colored blue. Not monitor light, not television, something slower moving through. A glass tank stands against the wall, with pebbles, weeds, and one small cave. Silver bodies cross the ceiling, then disappear behind a wave. A woman sits down on the carpet, blanket gathered at her waist. Her phone is near the sofa, far enough to lose its place. One elbow rests upon her knee, one hand lies open on the floor. She watches 4 small fish repeat the same turn by the filter door. The aquarium makes one room look underwater, makes the ceiling drift and bend. The aquarium makes one room look underwater, where the night forgets to end. The filter sends a line of bubbles up the corner comes the room again. A heater glows behind the plants, a thin red thread beneath the blue. The fish do not know morning, they only know the water moves. One orange fish keeps circling past a castle made of stone. Another waits below the leaves as if it wants to be alone. She named them all in private, names no visitor would guess. Tonight she does not speak them, she just counts each turn they make. Blue on the cupboard, blue on her hands, blue on the blanket, blue where she stands. The room is not drowning, it only appears to hold all its breathing in water instead of air. Across the courtyard, other lights have ordinary colors now. Yellow kitchens, white hallways, one iron cooling by a wall. A headset room has darkened, the bottle warmer lost its gold. But this one window keeps its tide as if the building had a soul. Maybe she came here after crying, maybe she has not cried at all. Maybe the floor is simply cooler and the bed against the wall. Maybe watching something smaller move without deciding why is the only kind of company that does not ask her to reply. The fish make no conclusions, they do not read her face. They do not call the silence healing, they do not name the space. They turn around the plastic castle, they rise when bubbles climb. They take the room in measured circles and spend no word on time. The aquarium makes one room look underwater, blue moving over walls. The aquarium makes one room look underwater, and someone sits beneath it all. At 4:31, one fish stops near the corner of the tank. Its gills keep opening, closing in a rhythm small and blank. She leans closer to the glass till her forehead nearly meets it. Her face appears between the plants, then breaks when silver crosses from the courtyard. She looks like she is in there too. A larger animal behind them, made of shadow, skin and blue. Then she shifts and the reflection slides away across the room. The fish continue through the place, her face had occupied too soon. The building pipe knocks once, the elevator chimes below. Another window loses light, she does not turn to know. The tank keeps making quiet weather with no forecast and no end. Bubble rise, bubble break, small fins turn, no mistake. Blue wall, dark floor, one more circle, one circle more. At 4:48 she stands, not quickly, not dissolved. Her knees have left two shallow marks where the carpet fibers fold. She feeds a pinch above the water, tiny flakes spread out like ash. The fish rise from begin to flash. She smiles once at their hunger, a movement barely there, then closes up the yellow lid and lifts the blanket from the chair. The phone remains untouched, though its screen is lit twice. Whatever waits inside the message can keep waiting through the night. She switches off the room lamp, now only water lights the
At 4:44 the building starts giving back the dark. One square loses yellow, then another loses blue. A monitor in 7B turns black across the glass. The chair rolls out of view and the headset room is through. The kitchen with two shadows keeps one light above the stove. Then one figure leaves the table and the other follows slow. The bottle warmer goes quiet, the orange circle disappears. A hand closes half a curtain on the longest part of 3. The dark comes back, floor by floor. One window, then one more. The dark comes back, floor by floor, till the building looks like before. The iron shirt is hanging in the hallway near the door. Its room stays lit 1 minute, then the lamp is there no more. The blue aquarium keeps moving after every kitchen fades. Fish still cross the woman's ceiling while the courtyard turns to gray. An elevator climbs to 9, red numbers through the glass. It pauses, opens, closes, then the cabin travels back. A cupboard shuts on number 5. A bathroom fan gives up, and somewhere in the darkened block a kettle fills 1 cup. The dark comes back, floor by floor. One window, then one more. The dark comes back, floor by floor, till the building like before. I count the lights that used to be 7B and bottle gold, 2 shadows, 1 blue aquarium, a shirt pressed through the cold. The rooms are still behind the glass when every window loses glow. A whole life can be present and still look empty from below. Floor by floor, light by light, every room returns the night. Floor by floor, one by one, till the windows all look done. At 5:03 the aquarium finally loses part of blue, not switched off, just thin by morning, as the sky begins coming through. The woman rises from the carpet, feeds the fish and leaves the frame. The tank keeps casting weaker water on a room without her shape. The courtyard brick becomes visible where black had held it flat. Drain pipes, vents, chipped window ledges, laundry hooks and satellite bags. The building looks less secret when the night reveals its flaws. What felt like constellations turns to glass and paint and walls. Maybe darkness made me careless, made each window feel
saw one gesture, built a history. Saw one lamp and named the wound. The body bends beside a table and I call the body lonely. A curtain shakes, I call it leaving. A light stays on, I call it holding. But all I had were little squares and distance dressed as knowing. The backs of chairs, the shapes of hands, a kettle briefly glowing. The lives behind those windows never asked to be explained. I borrowed them to pass the hour and gave them back their names. At 5:17 the first new light appears where none had been. A bathroom on the second floor turns white behind a blind. A kitchen wakes beside the lift. The kettle starts below. The building is not going dark now. It is changing. Who can show? Night workers close their curtains. Morning workers cross the rooms. One person puts a uniform down, another ties their shoes. The same window holds departure, then arrival minutes later. A block can lose one version and replace it with another. The dark comes back, floor by floor. One window, then one more. The dark comes back, floor by floor. But mine is still beside the dawn. The light comes back, floor by floor. Different hands behind each door. The light comes back, floor by floor. And no room means what it meant before. At 5:32 the courtyard has almost lost the night. The last aquarium shimmer folds into ordinary light. A bus moves past the entrance. A lift begins to rise. Someone opens one blue curtain. Someone closes tired eyes. I turn my lamp off finally. The glass releases my face. For one brief second my window becomes another emph behind. Everything I called a story.
I was watching the windows. One was watching back. My face over the courtyard and the color of the glass. At 5:21 the buildings have started losing night. Yellow rooms turn ordinary, blue rooms thin into white. The courtyard shows its brickwork, drain pipes, ledges, chipped old paint. Everything that looked like stories starts returning to its shape. I stand behind my own lamp with a cold cup on the sill. The notebook stays half open on a page I couldn't fill. Across the way, one curtain moves slowly on the 6th. A figure stops behind it, and for 1 second does not shift. I was watching the windows. One was watching back. I gave names to all the shadows, then saw mine inside the glass. I was watching the windows like the night belonged to me. One was watching back, and it looked a lot like me. Maybe they were counting lights the way
I counted theirs, maybe my lamp became a signal in somebody else's square. Maybe they saw my hand lift the same cup every hour, saw me step away from the window, then return without a reason from far enough. My room is simple: one chair, one coat, one light, a body standing near the glass. Too late to call it night. No one sees the open notebook or the sentence crossed in blue. No one knows the cup is empty or what I almost tried to do. The spoon beside the notebook catches one thin line of dawn. The radiator clicks behind me, then decides the heat is gone. A neighbor opens one small window and shakes dust from a cloth. For the first time, all these buildings feel close enough to touch. Glass keeps both sides, glass keeps none. Morning takes the shape the night had done. Glass keeps both sides, near and far. Every window turns a person into one small burning mark. The headset room is darkened, the bottle warmer too. The kitchen with two shadows has become a normal view. A blue shirt hangs by one door, an elevator starts below. The aquarium is paling as the fish keep moving slow. I had turned them into chapters from a gesture, from a light. Gave them pain, gave them forgiveness, gave them reasons for the night. But from their side, perhaps I am the stranger by the lamp, the one who never leaves the window, the one whose room stays amber. Distance makes a person legible in ways a person never is. One lifted hand becomes goodbye, one seated shape becomes regret. A kitchen light becomes an argument, a hallway glow becomes return. We build whole lives from silhouettes because silence leaves room to learn. But people are not symbols, and windows are not proof. A figure crossing one lit square can carry any truth. Maybe no one watched me, maybe that shape was only cloth. Maybe I needed one reflection to make the looking stop. Lamp behind me, sky ahead, one face living over brick and bed. Curtain moving, window clear, someone distant, someone here. At 5:30, mind the figure on the 6th floor lifts a hand, not waving, not exactly, just touching at the glass. I raise mine without thinking, then feel foolish when I do. The figure turns away and leaves the curtain open through. No answer crosses over, no meaning settles down. The bus enters the courtyard with its brakes and early sound. A man walks out with rubbish, a dog pulls hard against the lead. The private night is ending under ordinary feet. I see my room reflected less clearly as the day. The lamp becomes a pale spot, the walls return to gray. My face no longer floats over every distant frame. The glass gives back the courtyard and releases me by name. I was watching the windows, one was watching back. I gave names to all the shadows, then saw mine inside the glass. was watching the windows, then I turned my own light down. One was watching back from somewhere in the waking town. At 5:52 I closed the notebook without finishing the page. Nothing happened today, so why can't I stand up? Nothing happened today. The bread is on the counter, my keys are in the cup. Nothing happened today, so why can't I stand up? I bought coffee at 8:10 from the place beside the station. The barista drew a crooked leaf and asked about my weekend. I said quiet mostly. She said sometimes that is best. The lid clicked into place, the morning carried on from there. A man held the lift for me. We talked about the heating. He pressed 7, I pressed 9, and watched the numbers change. Nothing happened in the meeting. The projector worked at last. I answered 14 emails, moved one deadline to next week. Nothing happened today, so why can't I stand up? Nothing happened today. My shoes are by the doorway, the lights are coming up. Nothing happened today, so why can't I stand up? At lunch I bought a sandwich, chicken, lettuce, nothing strange. A woman dropped a teaspoon in the room, looked up then changed. I read half an article about a town I'll never see, then closed it when the screen asked if I'd like to subscribe. At 4:36 my manager said good work on the numbers. I smiled and said no problem. Put the papers in a pile, the printer jammed at 4:50. I pulled one warm page free, there was toner on my finger. I rubbed it on my jeans, the bus was 6 minutes late, but there were empty seats upstairs. A child counted yellow cars, his mother fixed his hood. I watched the florist bank repair shop pass as they should. Nothing followed me from work, nothing happened on the way. Coffee cup, office lift, paper jam, evening shift. Small things done, small things said. Nothing heavy in my head. I stopped to buy some bread and milk that had 2 days left. The cashier asked for loyalty. I found the card behind my license. A jar fell somewhere in the shop, glass scattered near the wine. An employee brought a yellow sign and told us all it's fine outside. The air was ordinary, not too cold and not too wet. A dog pulled toward a lamppost while its owner checked a text. The crossing changed on time. A cyclist thanked a van. I walked the final corner with the groceries in my hand. The key turned like it always does. The hall light came on late. I placed the bread upon the counter, left the shopping by the chair. The room was unchanged, cup beside the drying rack, a towel over one chair, a letter by the mat. Nothing happened today, so why can't I stand up? Nothing happened today. The milk is getting warmer, the freezer won't shut up. Nothing happened today, so why can't I stand up? I sat down just for 1 minute on the carpet by the sofa, still holding one bag handle, pressed in red across my palm. The heating clicked behind me, the upstairs neighbor crossed the floor. A delivery bike stopped outside and started up once more. I told myself, put the milk away, the sentence and sounded clear. My legs understood the language, but they did not volunteer. I counted to 5 slowly, then counted 5 again. The plastic bag leaned sideways and an orange rolled beneath the bench. There was no terrible phone call, no envelope with news, no sentence in the office that could explain what I could not do. No fight inside the supermarket, no stranger being cruel. The day had left no single mark I could circle as the rule. Maybe it was every small I'm fine stacked neatly through the day. Every time I moved a feeling so somebody else could stay. Maybe it was nothing by itself, no moment big enough to name, just carrying 100 quiet things and calling all of them the same. But even that sounds too dramatic, like I'm writing after the fact. Maybe bodies sometimes stop without presenting all the maths. Maybe I do not need a reason before I put my hands against the floor. Maybe standing is a question I can answer later on. Bread on counter, milk by chair, keys and cup, coat still there. 5 more seconds, then I move. 5 more seconds, nothing to prove. Nothing happened today, so why couldn't I stand up? Nothing happened today. The bread is on the counter, the milk is in the fridge. Nothing happened today, and that does not make it small. Nothing happened today, no siren, no fall. Nothing happened today, but my body heard it all. I don't need to name it before I let the evening stop. Nothing happened today, and I still couldn't stand up. At 8:03, I found the orange near the shadow of the bench. Its skin was marked but unbroken. I turned it in my hand. The office still existed. The bus route kept its line. Tomorrow had not vanished. The clocks were keeping time. I peeled the orange slowly over a plate beside the sink. The first piece tasted ordinary, sweet then sharp, then gone. Nothing happened today. No answer came at last, just juice along my fingers and the day becoming past. I took my coat on like I might still leave. Keys hanging in the lock, bag still on my shoulder, heat filling up the hall. At 7:42 the door closed. The latch caught on the second try. I stood with one hand on the handle, like someone might call me back outside. Hall light took its time, then found the rain marks on my shoes. The heating clicked behind the wall. The flat smelled of laundry soap. I should have hung the coat on the hook beside the mirror. Instead I sat by the radiator with every button at my throat. My bag stayed on my shoulder, the strap cutting through the wool. The key stayed inside the lock under the hallway bulb. I kept my coat on like I might still leave, like the room had caught me by mistake. I kept my coat on like I might still leave, but I could not make my stayed tied beneath me, double knots from early in the day. One lace had taken rainwater and darkened near the metal tip. A receipt stuck from my pocket for bread, milk, and washing powder. I pulled it halfway free, then pushed it back again. The radiator warmed my left sleeve while the right stayed cold by the door. Outside, somebody crossed the landing, plastic bags against their coat. A key scraped twice next door. A child asked if there was cereal. The answer disappeared inside. Coat still buttoned, shoes still tied, keys in the lock, bag at my side. Home all around me, nothing to flee. I kept my coat on like I might still leave. My phone buzzed inside the bag, beneath a notebook and a charger. I could've reached it if I wanted. I could've done a dozen things. Take the milk from the shop and turn the hallway light off. Move 3 steps toward the kitchen, put the keys inside the bowl. Instead I studied one loose thread near the button at my chest. It curled against the fabric like a question too small to answer. The coat was meant for outside, when bus stops crowded pavements. Here it made the room temporary, like I had not arrived completely. Maybe leaving is not movement, maybe sometimes it is clothing. A layer kept between the body and the place that calls it home. If I opened all the buttons, would the evening know my name? Would the walls become more certain? Would I have to feel the day? The mirror by the coat hooks held one shoulder and half my face. A person dressed for somewhere else, sitting in an entranceway. No disaster in the reflection, no bruise, no broken thing. Just somebody who came home safely and could not quite come in. Top button, middle 2, cold brass key, still in view. Heat on wool, floor below, door behind me, nowhere to go. At 8:19 the heating stopped and the silence changed its weight. The coat had grown too warm, but taking it off felt like a statement. I moved the bag from one shoulder and set it beside my knee. The strap left a red line across my shoulder. Inside the milk was warming, the bread pressed under a tin. A small box of tablets rattled when I shifted by the wall. I thought about tomorrow morning, how the coat would need to hang straight, how I would button it again and leave as if this had not happened. The keys turned in the lock when my elbow touched the door. That tiny metal sound made the hallway feel observed. I pulled them out at last, held them inside my fist. The teeth left 4 pale marks across the center of my palm. I kept my coat on like I might still leave, like the room had caught me by mistake. I kept my coat on like I might still leave, but I could not make my body stand. I kept my coat on like I might still leave, though the last bus passed an hour ago. I kept my coat on like I might still leave, because staying felt too close to knowing. At 8:37 I undid the lowest button near my waist, and the next one in the middle. Not brave, just overheated. The collar opened slowly, cool air touched the skin beneath. Nothing in the room reacted, no alarm, no sudden ease. I slipped one arm out of the sleeve and stopped with the coat behind my back, half inside and half outside, like a photograph taken badly. I almost laughed at how hard the cloth had become. Then the laugh turned into breathing, and the breathing carried on. Coat unbuttoned, shoe still tied, keys in my hand, bag at my side. Home all around me, no need to flee. I kept my coat on till the room could hold me. At 8:46 the coat reached the hallway hook. It hung with both sleeves empty, still shaped around my shoulders. I placed the keys inside the bowl, then carried the milk to the kitchen before it warmed beyond saving. The shoes stayed tied a little longer, the bag remained beside the door. I did not suddenly feel better, I only entered one room more. Behind me, the coat kept hanging, quiet in the yellow light, like proof I had to come home, even if it took all night. The milk went warm while I sat on the floor. One orange rolled under the chair. The freezer kept asking for an answer, and I stayed where the shopping fell. At 7:49 the plastic bag split open near the kitchen door. Bread leaned hard against the tins, 2 apples rolled across the floor. The milk stayed on its side, with the receipt stuck to the seam. A packet of rice pressed into my leg, while the freezer started beeping. I sat down to gather everything. That was the plan at first. One hand still inside the carrier, one knee against the cupboard. The tiles were colder than I expected, even through my work trousers. I told myself, pick up the milk, then watch the carton gather sweat. The milk went warm while I sat on the floor, cold things waiting by an open door. The milk went warm while I sat on the floor, and I could not tell what I was waiting for. The oranges found separate corners, one beside the washing machine, one beneath the table where the mop had never reached. The receipt curled from the carton, total $28.16. Bread, milk, soap, frozen peas, nothing that could explain me. The freezer alarm kept pulsing, 3 notes, pause, repeat. I knew the drawer was open, I could see the white light leak. Still I counted every warning, like somebody else might come across the kitchen, shut the freezer, and ask what I had done. Plastic handle on my wrist, coat tile under my hand, groceries turning ordinary, while I forgot how to stand. A neighbor ran a vacuum somewhere over my head. The sound crossed one room slowly, then stopped above the bed. A bus sighed at the corner, a bottle rolled inside the bag. The whole building kept completing little jobs I could not have. I pulled the frozen peas toward me, they had softened at the edge. Pressed the packet to my forehead because the cold felt definite. The gesture almost made me laugh, it looked absurd enough. A woman on a kitchen floor using dinner like a cloth. My phone buzzed in my coat pocket, still hanging in the hall. I let it finish ringing and heard no message call. For one strange second I wished it had carried something bad, a reason clean enough to hold a sentence I could understand. The milk went warm while I sat on the floor, cold things waiting by an open door. The milk went problem was not groceries. The problem had no shape. It sat behind my ribs and let the useful minutes waste. Maybe all day I had translated every feeling into tasks. Answer this, remember that, smile when somebody asks. Maybe home removed the language that had carried me till then and left me with a carton I could not lift again. Freezer, beep, plastic fold, milk turns warm, towels stay cold. Orange rose stops by the wall, one small thing after it all. At 8:14 I reached for the apple near my shoe, set it on the lowest shelf and brought the second one there too. The movement was so minor, it did not feel like getting up. Just one object changing places from the floor into the cupboard. I closed the freezer drawer, the alarm stopped mid-repeat. The sudden quiet filled the kitchen, larger than the beeping did. I placed the piece beside the ice, the bread above the tins, then found the milk still waiting with warm drops on its skin. I held it to my chest while I pushed against the floor. The carton bent a little at the corner near the bowl. My legs shook once beneath me, then remembered what they do. I stood beside the counter with no victory coming through. The milk went warm while I sat on the floor. Cold things waiting by an open door. The milk went warm while I sat on the floor, and I could not tell what I was waiting for. The milk went warm while I sat on the floor. No emergency, no knock at the door. The milk went warm while I sat on the floor. Sometimes a body stops before it knows what for. At 8:22 the milk reached the middle shelf at last. I checked the date twice, though I had read it in the shop. The carton left a wet ring on the counter near the sink. I wiped it with my sleeve before I had the chance to think. One orange stayed beneath the table. I found it the next day. The receipt remained stuck to the bottom of the bag. By morning all the groceries looked properly put away. Only one soft packet of peas showed how long I stayed. The kitchen kept no record of the wait inside the hour. Just milk cooling in the fridge again. I placed the peas beside the ice, the bread above the tins, then found the milk still waiting with warm drops on its skin. I sat down to gather everything. That was the plan at first. One hand still inside the carrier, one knee against the cupboard. The tiles were colder than I expected, even through my work trousers. I told myself, pick up the milk, then watch the car. I let the tap run because silence was worse. Water hitting stainless steel. I let the tap run because silence was worse and the room needed sound. 8:31 I carried a glass from the table to the sink. The plate behind it had gone cold, the fork still crossed the rim. I turned the tap with 2 fingers, meaning only to rinse the cup. But the water struck the basin and I never picked it up. The glass stayed dry beside my hand, clear and empty. My sleeve touched the silver edge and darkened at the seam. The stream kept falling straight, then broke around the drain. A small white noise inside the kitchen with no name. I let the tap run because silence was worse. Not to wash, not to drink. I let the tap run because silence was worse and I needed less room to think. The sponge had had dried into a curve beside the washing up soap. A grain of rice was stuck beneath it from a meal 3 nights ago. The tap made one bright ribbon under the cupboard's amber light. Every drop that left the metal had somewhere else to go. I watched the water gather near the strainer's crooked edge. Tiny crumbs began to turn and circle where the current bent. A tea leaf lifted once, then vanished through the grate. The kitchen gave each useless thing a simple moving fade. Water in the sink, sleeve getting wet. Water in the sink, nothing answered yet. Water in the sink, one sound in the flat. I stood there doing nothing and the water handled that. The heating clicked behind me, then stopped before it warmed. A neighbor shut a cupboard somewhere through the wall. The freezer no longer beeped, the groceries had been put away. The milk was cold again, as if the evening could reset. I placed my palm below the stream. The cold arrived at once, it ran between my fingers, then along the inside of my wrist. My body understood water better than it understood rest. Cold meant pull away, pressure meant confess. But I kept my hand beneath it until the skin began to ache. A feeling with a border was a feeling I could take. The sleeve climbed darker toward my elbow, 1 inch, then another. I should have turned the handle. I watched the fabric change its color. The tap covered every sound with one continuous reply. No kindness and no judgment, no reason to ask why. Water does not need a story before it leaves a mark. I let the tap run because silence was worse. Water over metal, water over skin. I let the tap run because silence was worse, and I could not let the quiet back in. At 8:47 the glass was still waiting by the soap. I lifted it at last and held it under the flow. The water struck the bottom and climbed the sides too fast. I watched it reach the rim and spill across my hand. I poured it out immediately, though I had meant to drink. Filled it once, then twice again, and emptied every time. The act became a pattern with no purpose I could name. Fill, overflow, release, then place the glass beneath again. A drop fell from my sleeve and darkened 1 floor tile, then another joined beside it. I counted 7 circles before the first one thinned. The room had started keeping what the sink could not contain. Turn left, water eye, cold wrist, tired eye, glass full, pour away. 1 more minute, 1 more day. At 9:02 the pipes below answered with another stream. Someone in a different flat was standing at a sink. For a second both taps traveled through the building at one time. 2 strangers moving water behind 2 separate walls. That ordinary fact made the kitchen feel less sealed. Not comfort, not connection, just proof the block was real. I reached toward the handle, the chrome had gone cold. The tap stopped halfway with the cough inside the pipe. 1 last drop formed slowly, then fell without the rest. The silence came back larger, but it held the fridge, my breathing, and the wet sleeve against my skin. I let the tap run because silence was worse, till the water lost its heat. I let the tap run because silence was worse, till the floor was under my feet. water leave the cloth. The glass remained beside the soap, still empty, still enough. I wiped the counter with a towel and counted 7 drying marks. At 9:11 I filled the glass and carried it away. Not because I felt thirsty, just because my hand could move behind me. One drop gathered at the mouth of the closed tap. It trembled there a moment, then decided to stay back. The flat was quiet again, but not the silence from before. There was water in the pipes, there were neighbors through the wall. I let the tap run, because silence was worse than I learned the sound could end. One plate cooling, one chair doing nothing. Fork across the rim, microwave light still running. One plate cooling, one chair doing nothing. One plate cooling, and the room keeps getting colder. I made enough for one, still could not make myself begin. One plate cooling, with a fork laid through the middle. At 9:26 the microwave finished with a hollow bell. Rice, peas, and something from a box that promised comfort in 12 minutes. I peeled the film back carefully, steam climbed up and left. The kitchen smelled like pepper, plastic, salt, and tiredness. I chose the blue plate because the white one had a crack. Carried it toward the table, then stood there holding it too long. The chair across from mine was empty, without meaning. No missing person, no old lover, just furniture against the wall. One plate cooling, one chair doing nothing. One plate cooling, and the room keeps getting colder. I made enough for one, still could not make myself begin. One plate cooling, with the fork laid through the middle. I sat down and moved the fork from right to left, then back again. Cut one piece into 2, though nothing needed cutting. The microwave clock said 9:29, the 9:30 without warning. The food lost its shine before I learned what I was waiting for. A sauce packet in the bin still had one red corner showing. The cardboard sleeve lay open, with instructions facing up. Stand for 1 minute, printed under serving suggestions. I had followed every step, and still the meal looked wrong. Hot once, cold soon. One plate, one room, fork down, hand still. The food keeps losing what the heat could fill. I lifted one bite halfway, then set it down before my mouth. Not sick, not nauseous, not afraid of how it tasted. The body simply closed a door without explaining where it led. My stomach made one small complaint, then quieted again. The refrigerator clicked behind me. The hallway light remained on. A bus crossed through the curtains and painted orange bars across the floor. I watched them move over the table, across the plate, and off the wall. For 3 seconds the whole kitchen looked like somewhere people lived. One plate cooling, one chair doing nothing. One plate cooling, and the room keeps getting colder. I made enough for one, still could not make myself begin. One plate cooling, with a fork laid through the middle. There are nights when hunger has nothing to do with food, when the body asked for something the cupboards never knew. I opened Opened every packet, measured water, found a bowl, followed small instructions, and still could not complete the role. I did not need a witness, I did not miss a second plate. The empty chair was innocent, it had no story, no weight. I only hated how it waited, pushed beneath the table while I sat in front of dinner, unable to become able. One bite lifted, one bite down. Microwave dark, no one around. Plate warm, then less. Fork through rice, small mess. At 9:48 I stood and carried the plate back to the sink. Not to throw it out, just to change the place it occupied. I scraped one grain from the rim with the side of my thumb, then licked the salt away, because the gesture came before thought. The sink already held a glass and one spoon from the morning. I balanced the plate beside them where the watermarks had dried. For a minute I considered putting all of it in the fridge, covering the food with foil, making tomorrow inherit it. Instead I left it there under the small light by the hood. The peas turned darker, the rice began to hold its shape. A meal can stop being dinner without becoming anything else. It can sit beneath the kitchen bulb and wait beyond its use. One plate cooling, one chair doing nothing. One plate cooling, and the room keeps getting colder. I made enough for one, still could not make myself begin. One plate cooling, with the fork laid through the middle. One plate cooling, no tragedy, no missing name. One plate cooling, while the evening did the same. I don't need to call it sadness, I don't need to force it in. One plate cool, and then tonight I let it be. At 10:07 I filled a glass and drank beside the counter. The water tasted faintly like the metal of the tap. I wrapped the plate at last with foil that would not tear clean, pressed the edges down and wrote tomorrow on the label. The chair stayed beneath the table, exactly where it had been. The microwave showed 10:09 in green against the dark. I turned the kitchen light off, but the hood bulb stayed on. A small yellow square over the meal I had not touched by morning. The food would look like leftovers from a normal night, something made then saved, because one person had enough. Only the fork beneath the foil would show how long I sat there. One plate cooling, with the fork laid through the middle. I cried before the shower started, before the water touched the tile. I cried before the shower started, with my clothes still in a pile. At 10:18 the bathroom fan was already chewing air. I had brought a clean white towel and left it folded on the chair. The shower curtain stayed open, the tap was still turned dry. I stood with both hands on the sink and watched my face go by. No steam blurred the mirror, no hot water hit my skin. The room was cold and ordinary, nothing had begun. I took one earring out, then forgot the other side. A black sock clung to my ankle, my shirt stayed buttoned high. I cried before the shower started, before the water made a sound. I cried before the shower started and sat down on the ground. No soap, no steam, no reason, no door left open wide. I cried before the shower started and let the bathroom hold the time.
towel had one blue stripe running straight along the edge. The bath mat curled at one corner where it never lay quite flat. A bottle of cheap shampoo leaned against the wall, its label peeled from months of water, though no drop had fallen. Now I tried to turn the handle, but my hand missed once. Not shaking, not exactly, just arriving too late to move. The chrome held my reflection in a stretched and broken line. My thumb stayed near the red mark that was meant to promise warm. The first tear reached my collar before I knew it had begun. Then another touched the button and disappeared into the cloth. I looked toward the ceiling fan like it might explain the room. It kept turning with the patience of a thing that knew its job. Fan above, towel below, towel folded, water closed. I was already crying before the first drop of the night. There was no sentence in my mouth, no name I needed to repeat, no photograph beside the sink, no message under me. The day had been the usual kind, receipts and waiting lines, a bus that stopped at every stop, a clock that kept good time. My head answered when they asked me, I had smiled at the right moment, held the lift for someone else, kept every small thing moving. Now the bathroom seemed to gather everything, pushed to the side, not as memories or pictures, only pressure behind my eyes. Maybe crying does not always come with something you can tell. Maybe tears are only water finding somewhere else to fall. Maybe the body opens first when the mind keeps every door, and the bathroom floor is honest because it asked for nothing more. I did not need a revelation, I only needed somewhere private where the walls could let me bend. The shower stayed completely silent, the towel stayed clean and dry, and every breath sounded louder as it broke and came back twice. One hand on tile, one knee down, fan keeps turning, no one around. One earring out, one still in, cold floor waiting under skin. At 10:31 I sat with my back against the tub, the rim pressed through my shirt and grout felt rough beneath my palm. My clothes made the floor look crowded, sleeve, belt, sock, folded knee. I had not taken any off, but nothing felt attached to me. The mirror showed the top of my head and one shoulder near the door, a person reduced to angles by the place where she had lowered. I wiped my face with toilet paper, it tore and stayed along my cheek. The little pieces made me laugh once, then the laugh became a breath. I reached toward the towel, but left it where it was. Clean things looked too formal for the shape the room had made, so I used the cuff of my shirt and pressed it under both my eyes. A dark mark spread through cotton like the first visible reply. I cried before the shower started, before the water made a sound. I cried before the shower started and sat down on the ground. No soap, no steam, no reason, no door left open wide. I cried before the shower started and let the bathroom hold the time. I cried before the shower started, then the crying lost its pace. I cried before the shower started, till the room returned my face. I did not find an answer, I did not need one there. I cried before the shower started and finally touched the air. At 10:46 I reached and turned the handle halfway round. The pipes knocked once behind the wall, then water found the ground. Cold first and slowly warmer, white rush against the tub. The sound filled every corner without asking what it was. I stayed seated for 1 minute,
glistening from the floor, then stood and took my shirt off, left it folded near the door. The towel waited on the chair. The mirror began to cloud and softened what it held. I stepped beneath the water, not healed and not explained, only tight enough to let it move across my face. By the time the room filled with steam, the crying had gone quiet. I cried before the shower started, and not the first visible reply. I cried before the shower started, then not the first visible reply. I cried before the shower started, then let the shower hide it. I cried before the shower started, then let the shower hide it. I cried before the shower started. My body kept the evidence, my mind threw every file away. Tight jaw, shaking fingers, reporting on the day. At 11:07 I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, trying to look normal by holding still longer. No bruise along the cheekbone, no fever in the skin, just a line where both my teeth had pressed the mouth within. I opened up my left hand, 4 half moons crossed the palm, marks from nails I never noticed, while pretending to stay calm. Shoulders sat too high, like they had forgotten down, and one small muscle near my eye kept jumping without sound. My body kept the evidence, my mind threw every file away. My body kept the evidence in all the places I said were okay. I don't need a witness, I don't need a case. My body kept the evidence written under my face. There was pressure behind my eyes from hours of looking fine, a dull ache near the temple, keeping someone else's time. I rolled my neck once slowly, heard a click beneath the ear, then felt the room come closer, though nothing had come near. My breath stopped near the collar, never reaching to the waist. Short arrivals, quick departures, like it had somewhere else to stay. I counted at my wrist, lost the number after 12. The pulse was not dramatic, only fast enough to make the quiet feel crowded and the mirror rough. I told myself you're tired, but tired did not explain why every muscle stayed prepared for something with no name. Jaw locked, shoulders high, nails and skin dry. Eye small proof, no display. The body kept what I gave away. I remembered the office lift, the coffee near the station, the manager saying good work, the ordinary conversation. I had nodded through the morning, typed with both hands through the noon. Laughed once near the printer at a joke I can't recall. No one saw the tongue held hard against the back of every tooth. No one saw my knees stay tense beneath the office desk. The body can be screaming and still answer text. Maybe the mind is not a liar, maybe it only clears the scene, moves the furniture of feeling, so the room can stay routine. Puts the fear inside the shoulders, puts the anger in the jaw, puts the grief behind the eyelids where nobody has to know. Maybe memory is physical before it learns a name. A knot below the shoulder blade, a heartbeat out of frame, a hand that will not open after work is done. Open hand, close again, count to 4, miss a 10. Drop the shoulders, lift them back, body talking, mind goes blank. At 11 11:26, I sat on the edge of the closed bath, feet flat against the tile, both hands resting in my lap. I tried to unclench slowly, one finger at a time. The nails released the skin, but left the crescents white. I pressed my tongue behind my teeth and let the lower jaw fall loose. The relief arrived so sharply, it felt almost like a bruise. My shoulders dropped 1 inch, then climbed back without permission. I laughed at the stubbornness of muscle and repetition. There was no single memory waiting underneath the ache, no hidden scene returning, no exact mistake. Only all the times I had said, "It's fine, don't worry, I can." Stacked inside the body, past the limits of the plan. My body kept the evidence, my mind threw every file away. My body kept the evidence in all the places I said were okay. I don't need a witness, I don't need a case. My body kept the evidence written under my face. I ran cold water over both wrists at the tap, not to cure or shock me, only give the nerves a map. The stream made one clear feeling move from skin into the bone. Cold here, metal there, a body coming home. I opened both hands wide, I placed them flat beside the sink. Watched the marks grow pink again before they started disappearing. The proof could disappear and still be true. Some evidence is temporary and still explains the cost. I stood there until breathing reached a little lower down. Not calm and not perfect, just enough to change the sound. My body kept the evidence, my mind threw every file away. My body kept the evidence in all the places I said were okay. I don't need a verdict, I don't need the past replayed. My body kept the evidence and I let it stay. My body kept the evidence, the jaw, the hands, the breath. My body kept the evidence. When I had nothing left to tell, I stopped calling it strange. At 11:44 I left. The bathroom light turned low. The crescents in my palm had almost nowhere left to show. I placed one hand against my chest and felt the rhythm still uneven. Not danger or disaster, just a body still believing. The hall held my footsteps, the kitchen held one plate, the coat hung by the doorway. Everything looked ordinary, that was never proof of ease. My body kept the evidence long after I had cleared the scene. It's 2:18 and nothing is wrong. Red numbers by the bed. It's 2:18 and nothing is wrong, but my heart has missed a step. The clock says 2:18, bright enough to stain the wall. I lie with both hands open like that proves I'm not afraid. The blanket ends at my waist, my feet are cold beneath the sheet. The window is fully closed. The latch sits flat and still, no footsteps in the hallway, no hand against the door. The heating pipe gives one knock, everything inside the room is where I left it before. It's 2:18 and nothing is wrong. No smoke, no break, no call. It's 2:18 and nothing is wrong. So why is my body waiting for it all? I count the pulse inside my wrist, lose it after 23. Start again with firmer fingers as if pressure makes it true. One beat arrives too early, or maybe I imagine that the clock changes to 2:19. Without asking where I'm at, my mouth is dry from breathing through a throat that will not rest. I take one careful swallow and feel it travel through my chest. The glass beside the lamp has a crescent at the rim. I lift a drink, one mouthful, then hold it without reason. An ambulance passes far away, its siren bends around the block. Blue light never reaches here. The sound does not belong to me. Still my shoulders rise to meet it. Then the siren thins to nothing and the room remains the same. Red clock, closed door, 2 hands, cold floor. No danger, no sign, only 2:18 inside my mind. I sit upright too quickly, and the room tilts half an inch. The wardrobe keeps its shadow. The chair holds yesterday's clothes. A receipt lies on the dresser for milk and paracetamol. Nothing in the little paper says the night should feel this large. I put both feet on carpet, count 5 things that I can see. Lamp, glass, chair, curtain, 1 black button on my sleeve. 4 things I can touch, cottonwood, the wall, my hair. 3 things I can hear, the pipe, the clock, my breath. The list is meant to ground me, but the body keeps on asking for a danger it can know. I say the date out loud and the address of the flat. My voice sounds like a stranger reading details from a card. It's 2:18 and nothing is wrong. No smoke, no break, no call. It's 2:18 and nothing is wrong. So why is my body waiting for it all? Maybe fear does not need evidence. Maybe it arrives before the case. Pulls the chairs into position, turns the quiet toward my face. Maybe every hidden pressure finds the hour with least defense, when the buses have stopped running and the day has lost its sense. I keep looking for the reason, like a pin beneath the sheet. A message I forgot to answer, a sound outside the street. But there is no final object, no mistake behind the door. Only nerves repeating danger to a room that offers none. I do not tell myself to calm down, the sentence feels too sharp. I tell myself you're in the bedroom, then your feet are on the carpet. The clock is only plastic, the red light cannot predict. The distant siren was already leaving when it passed. In for 4, hold for 2, out for 6, again. Red turns 20, then 21. Nothing arrives, nothing has come. At 2:26 I stand and carry the glass into the hall. The hallway light comes on 1 second later than it should. That delay almost catches me. Then the bulb becomes a bulb. The frame print stays crooked. The smoke alarm stays green. In the kitchen I open the freezer just to feel the cold white light touches both my hands and gives the dark a border. A bag of peas, ice tray, bread sealed in a plastic sleeve. All the stupid solid objects make it easier to breathe. I close the door and listen to the motor start again. The flat becomes mechanical instead of full of signs. I lean against the counter and count each slower beat. Not perfect, not consistent, only farther from my teeth. It's 2:18 and nothing is wrong. No smoke, no break, no call. It's 2:18 and nothing was wrong. But the body does not wait for proof at all. It's 2:18 and nothing was wrong. The clock kept moving on. I don't need to solve the hour before I let it become gone. At 2:34 I return, the glass beside the bed. The red clock looks less certain from the doorway than it did. I leave the hallway light on, a thin line under the frame. place where fear had been. No emergency was waiting, no hidden news arrived. Just 1 hour passing through me while I stayed here and survived. The hallway felt longer than the whole day. One thin line beneath the door. The hallway felt longer than the whole day. And I could not cross the floor. At 2:52 I left the bedroom without turning on the light. The carpet caught my knees halfway through the narrow hall. A strip of yellow from the kitchen reached beneath the open door. Not bright enough to guide me, just enough to mark the floor. The glass of water stayed behind me on the table by the bed. The fridge kept running in the distance with a low familiar sound. I lowered one cheek to the carpet and let the building hold me down. The hallway felt longer than the whole day. Door to door and wall to wall, the hallway felt longer than the whole day, though it was only 6 steps long. The carpet smelled like dust, warm pipes and washing powder. One loose fiber touched my lip each time I took a breath. A frame print hung above me, crooked since the winter. From the floor it looked enormous, a black tree under snow. I could see the kitchen threshold from the place beside the wall. The light beneath the doorway made every object look divided, half belonging to the night, half waiting for the morning. Thin light, low floor, 6 steps, 1 door, fridge hum, breath slow. The hallway knows, I told myself to stand, then changed the word to sit, then changed it into nothing, and let the sentence pass. The body had already chosen something closer to the ground, a place where falling had been finished before anyone looked down. The bedroom was behind me, the kitchen was ahead. Neither room was dangerous, neither room required courage. Still the space between them widened every time I tried to move. A toilet flushed below me. Then the building settled back. For a moment I imagined other people on their carpets, waiting through the same thin hour, and hallways stacked with mine. The hallway felt longer than the whole day. Door to door and wall to wall, the hallway felt longer than the whole day, though it was only 6 steps long. Maybe distance is not measured by the boards beneath the feet. Maybe one small room can drift when the body loses speed. The kitchen light was not salvation, the bedroom was not a trap. They were only 2 familiar places with a hallway in the gap. I did not need to reach them, I did not need to prove that a person on the carpet still remembers how to move. The floor was cold beneath my shoulders. in, one breath enters, one breath goes, 6 small steps. The hallway knows. At 3:11 the kitchen light went out. Without my hand the timer switch had reached its end, and darkness crossed the gap. The line beneath the doorway narrowed once, then disappeared. The hallway did not become larger, it became less sharp to fear. Without the yellow border there was no place I had to reach. Only carpet, wall, and breathing, only time beneath my cheek. My eyes adjusted slowly till the skirting found its shape. A smoke detector blinked green once every little while. Each flash proved the corridor was still exactly where it had been. Not growing, not demanding, not a test I had to win. The hallway felt longer than the whole day. Door to door and wall to wall, the hallway felt longer than the whole day. Though it was only 6 steps long, the hallway felt longer than the whole day. Till the line beneath the door went dark. I did not cross it, I did not have to. I only let the distance lose its mark. At 3:24 I reached one hand toward the radiator pipe, not to pull myself upright, only feel the metal warmth. The heat had traveled through the building from a boiler somewhere low. A simple thing moving upward without deciding where to go. I pressed my palm against it till the fingers loose and flat. The glass of water waited, the bed remained behind. Both rooms could keep their places, I could take a little time. When I finally sat upright, the hallway stayed the same. 6 steps to the kitchen, 5 back toward the bed. I moved first toward the water because thirst was easier to name. One hand along the wall, one knee rising from the frame. At 3:31 I drank, standing just inside the kitchen. The glass was room temperature and tasted faintly of the tap. I left the overhead light off, let the fridge give what it had. A white square on the tiles, a quiet note at my back. The hallway waited behind me, just a narrow piece of carpet joining 2 parts of the flat. I carried the glass to bed and left the bedroom door ajar. The hallway felt longer than the whole day, then became 6 steps again.
Everything was fine again. Cold water, clean shirt, keys beside the door. By morning, everything was fine again. At least from where the hallway could see. At 6:14 the alarm broke the room into a duty. I reached across the blanket and stopped it on the first try. The glass beside the bed was empty, except for one warm mouthful. The hallway doors stayed open, 6 quiet steps beyond my feet. I stood before the mirror with both hands on the sink. The face inside looked swollen, but not enough to call in sick. Cold water over eyelids, 2 palms against the cheeks, a towel pressed beneath them till the skin became discreet. By morning, everything was fine again. Hair tied back and coat done to the chin. By morning, everything was fine again. The body knew the part and stepped into it. The kitchen held the evidence without knowing it was evidence.
One plate beneath loose foil, one orange near the table leg. The shopping bag lay flattened, with its handle stretched and red. A damp sleeve hung by the radiator from the tap I let run. The milk was cold inside the fridge. The softened peas had frozen crooked. I threw away the dinner before I could inspect it. Rice struck the bin in one flat sound. The fork stayed in the foil. I rinsed the plate beneath the tap and watched the sauce leave clean. Plate washed, coat closed, eyes dry, nobody knows. Shoes tied, bus due, morning asked what bodies do. At 6:37 I buttoned the same coat from the hallway. The wool remembered where I sat and folded at the waist. My keys were in the bowl, my bag was on the proper shoulder. The receipt for bread and milk went in the pocket with the others. I packed an apple for the office, filled the water bottle halfway. The ordinary little actions returned in the correct order, like chairs placed back after a meeting no one knew had taken place. The mirror by the coat hooks gave me one complete reflection. Only someone dressed for Wednesday, with a bus to catch outside. Maybe fine is only movement, buttons closing, taps turned off, a face arranged for other faces, a body answering the clock. Maybe fine can be a costume without being quite alive. I could walk, I could remember, I could look someone in the eye. That does not erase the kitchen or the bathroom before water, does not shorten the long hallway or explain to 18. It only means the morning needed less than night required. A ruder coat to travel card and enough strength to get there. Cold water, button for keys, phone, lock the door, plate gone, lie it off. 6:46 bus stop. Outside, the pavement carried people moving with intention. A woman pulled a child along, a man unfolded news. The bakery raised its shutter, coffee reached the crossing. Someone laughed behind the van as if the day had started clean. I stood beneath the bus sign and watched the minutes change. Nobody looked at my hands, nobody heard the bathroom fan. Nobody knew the hallway had been longer than the day. The bus arrived with warm air. I tapped my card, the driver nodded. I took a seat behind the stairs. The city moved in pieces. Pharmacy, school, repair shop, every place had opened without asking where I'd been. By morning, everything was fine again. Cold water, clean shirt, keys beside the door. By morning, everything was fine again, at least from where the daylight stood. By morning, everything was fine again. I answered when the whole world let me in. By morning, everything was fine again, and fine was all the morning needed. At 7:28 the office lift opened on the 9th floor. The same man from the day before held one hand against the door. He asked if I was tired. I said a little, how are you? He said the heating still was broken, and we watched the numbers. At my desk, the monitor woke blue beneath my fingers. 14 emails had arrived, the printer flashed a warning. I put the apple by the keyboard, set the water near the mouse. The notice for pale crescents still fading from my palm. I closed my hand around them, not to hide them from the office. Saw me feel that they were there before the big file them down. Then I opened the first message and began to type. By 8:03 the room had filled with ordinary voices. Someone dropped a teaspoon, someone complained about the train. I answered one small question, moved one deadline to next Friday. Took a sip of water and forgot the glass again. Back at home, the hallway held the the shape of what had happened. The bathroom towel had dried, the plate was clean beside the sink. Everything was fine by morning. If fine means nothing, stop me. If fine means I could leave the flat and make the lift on time. By morning, everything was fine again. The sentence fit the daylight, so I let it stand.